As soon as I entered the room, I was shocked to find Alva rummaging through my clothes. Alva, what the hell are you doing? Helping you rebuild your life? I can't let people know my new sister's fashion sense is so horrible, she said as she held up my old sweater in front of me. Stop it! I don't want to change anything! I angrily snatched it back. Trust me, you won't have a boyfriend if you wear that kind of shirt. I'll buy. Get out now! I hurriedly pushed Alva out of the room. It was so annoying to live with my new obnoxious blonde sister. Hi, I'm Sam. Just recently, my mom and her boyfriend Matthew decided to move in together. It would have been fun if it hadn't been for the fact that his stepchild, Alva, would be with us too. I don't want to sound mean, but I really didn't like my new sister at all. Because Alva was a typical blondie. She was always caring about her looks rather than school, which annoyed me, who always value academic results. One day after receiving the school report, my mom and Matthew were very angry. Of course, not at me. I got all A's. Ha! The only one in trouble was Alva, because she failed many classes. Boo-hoo-hoo, sucks to be you. To ease the tense atmosphere, my mom made a proposal. Sam, can you tutor Alva? It's also an opportunity for you two to get closer. No mom, why do I have to do this? Come on, don't be so selfish. If you don't help Alva, then say goodbye to the summer vacation. While I was trying to protest, Alva obediently followed that decision. In the end, I reluctantly did as she said. Since then, every afternoon, I tutored Alva in boredom. She was so dumb and picked up lessons very slowly. Not only that, she wasn't focused at all. She kept criticizing my outfit and rambling about the eyeshadow palette she just bought. It made me super uncomfortable. Once, during chemistry class, Alva and I were put in the same group. While I was trying to follow the teacher's instructions, Alva kept rummaging through the supplies on the desk and toyed with them. When I couldn't take it anymore, I yelled, "Can you stop playing with those?" But I just want to help you. You just need to sit still and that helps me already. I snapped at Alva, which made her seem rather sad, but she agreed. After successfully mixing potassium permanganate and sulfuric acid together, I struggled to find my next vial but couldn't find it. Alva, do you see the test tube I left here? This thing? As I turned around, Alva poured a whole bottle of alcohol into my mix. No! I tried to push her hand away but couldn't. When manganese heptoxide combines with alcohol, it immediately causes a fire. My whole face was black due to the flames and it even got into my sleeve. I was so scared and could only scream while Alva panicked and tried to put out the fire. That embarrassing scene was filmed by everyone in the class. Not only did I become the laughingstock of the whole school, but I was also sent to the principal's office because I wasn't careful enough with dangerous chemistry. It was all Alva's fault. One day, when I was sitting in the schoolyard, suddenly Adam, my crush, approached. He was impressed by the essay I published in the school newspaper a few days ago, so he wanted to talk to me. While we were talking, Adam suddenly ran his hand through my hair, removing a lift that was stuck in it. That moment made my heart skip a beat. I wondered to myself if that meant my crush liked me too. So, that night, I gathered up my courage to write a love letter to Adam. I put all my heart into it and even mentioned that I once dreamed of marrying him. The next morning, when I was about to put the letter in Adam's locker, suddenly my phone rang. Damn it! Adam just went from being single to dating? So, all that was before was just me misunderstanding the situation? Immediately, I retracted my letter. Thank God I didn't send it or else I'd be super embarrassing. That afternoon, while studying with Alva, I couldn't concentrate. I kept looking at my love letter and sighed. Then I put it under my stack of books. Oh geez, maybe I'd keep my feelings a secret forever. But then, the next morning, when I looked under the books, my love letter was gone. Panicked, I flipped my whole room to find it. The search only ended until Alva appeared with a smug smile. Hey Sam, you're welcome. What? Yesterday I saw you holding a love letter to Adam. You're trying to confess to him, aren't you? So I helped you put it in Adam's mailbox. Yay me! I wanted to collapse when I heard that. What would Adam think if he read my love letter? I could never face him again. I'm sorry I didn't know. So what do we do now? We take it back. I yelled and immediately rushed with Alva to Adam's house. We hid in a nearby corner and began to observe. Luckily, only my crush was at home that day. When Alva and I were about to reach the mailbox, suddenly Adam opened the door and walked out. He grabbed all the letters in there and brought them into the house. Shoot! My love letter was there too. It had a very striking red color and also had numerous heart shapes. While I was panicking, Alva pulled out her phone and called Adam to request an urgent meeting at the park. Oh, she was trying to lure Adam out so we could sneak into his house to get the letter. Not as blunt as you look, aren't ya? Right after my crush left the house, I immediately came inside from the back door and told Alva to keep watch at the front door. Be sure to signal me if someone comes home. Once inside, I started flipping up the living room to look. After about 10 minutes or so, I finally found my letter. I was about to leave when I suddenly saw Alva sneaking into the house as well. I told you to keep watch. I know, Adam is back and I'm here to tell you. You can call. Whoops, sorry, you didn't tell me that. Looking at Alva's goofy face and forced smile, I could only slap my hand on my forehead and shake my head. At that moment, we heard Adam's footsteps approaching the door. Immediately, Alva and I rushed to the window to escape. However, when we were both outside, I discovered that I had dropped the letter in the house. I dropped the letter. Don't worry, just go home. I'll take care of it. Alva quickly went back to Adam's house alone. I didn't know what else to do, so I listened to her. When I got home, my heart was on fire. About an hour later, I finally received news, but not from Alva, but from the police. My blonde sister was arrested from breaking in. Matthew and my mom had to go to the police station to bail her out. Despite being questioned by the police and our parents, Alva still didn't utter a word. She took all the blame to herself. Matthew and Mom were mad and grounded Alva for 5 months without any allowance. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, Alva sneaked into my room. She pulled out a sealed envelope and handed it to me. Here, sorry for causing you trouble. No, I should be thanking you. Why didn't you tell them it was my idea? I know you're waiting for a scholarship. I don't want this break-in to affect you. Anyway, I was the one who started this whole crazy thing. I was very emotional when I heard that. I suddenly realized that maybe Alva might be a bit silly, but she is sincere. She always tried to be a friend and help me. As for me, because of my initial grudge, I always disrespected her. I hugged Alva and apologized for the bad things I did. I confessed to my parents that I was also an accomplice to Alva and was willing to receive the same punishment as her. Although we both are still being grounded, I'm happy that I now have a close sister. On my first date with Rick, my crush, right before our lips touched, a group of men in black came and carried me out of the park. They put me in a black car and immediately drove away. One man talked to his walkie-talkie.
I found the lady. She's on her way home. Over.
Damn it! My dad's definitely behind it again. I turned helplessly to see Rick desperately chasing after my car. Hi, I'm Helen, a 15-year-old daughter of a famous politician. To build the perfect image of a model family, my dad always forced me to follow his rules. Every time there was an election, I would have to go with him in a knee-length dress and high heels. During his speech, I must stand like a doll and smile politely all the time. It was so boring. One evening, when I was on my way home, I saw a girl being hit by her boyfriend. Immediately, I rushed to stop him. How dare you hit a girl, coward! He angrily pushed me to the ground and kept raising his fist towards the girl. In that critical situation, I quickly grabbed a piece of wood at my feet and boldly challenged him. Unexpectedly, our shouting attracted the attention of a policeman, and we were taken to the police station for a report. The next morning, while my mom and I were having breakfast, Dad angrily threw a newspaper on the table with the headline, "Politician's daughter got into a fight on the street."
Helen, I told you not to mess up.
I desperately explained that the news got distorted and I was only trying to help a girl, but he ignored it all.
Stop making excuses. It's my election and you can't help me one bit. How useless.
Disappointed, I went back to my room. A few days later, Mom and I went with Dad to an evening outdoor activity. After his speech finished, I went to a nearby stone bench to rest my legs. It was when I saw a little boy sneakily reaching for a teddy bear displayed at a stall. I slowly approached him and grabbed his hand. Gotcha! Don't do that, kid. The police will put you in jail. He suddenly burst into tears. His mom quickly arrived and pushed my hand away. What are you doing to my son? No matter what I said, she refused to believe it. Don't lie! My boy never does that! The crowd started gathering around us. My dad also came over, and although I tried to explain, he just slept coldly.
Apologize to the boy and his mother.
What? Dad, I'm not lying!
Do it. Now.
I looked at the curious crowd, then I looked into Dad's furious eyes. Dad, if you trusted me just once, you wouldn't make me apologize for this nonsense.
Do it before more reporters arrive.
I apologized to them and then ran out of the crowd. I ran to the restroom in a nearby mall and burst into tears. I sat there for a long time until the electricity went out. When I walked out, the mall was completely dark and empty. OMG! I was stuck! I turned on my phone's flashlight and hesitantly walked down the dark hallway. Luckily, a large supermarket nearby still had some lights on. I was walking in when suddenly I felt something touch my shoulder. A hand! Ah! I flailed my arms and legs wildly and accidentally hit that person. A guy in the supermarket uniform hugged his crotch and grimaced.
What the hell are you doing here?
I'm stuck here!
Really? Me too.
He introduced himself as Anatole, the supermarket staff. He was so busy lining up goods that he forgot the closing time. Anatole gave me a cake and said,
Are you hungry? It expires after 12 p.m. Let's dig in.
After I finished eating, I said dumbfoundedly. I was still pissed at my dad, so I didn't want to call him. And if I called the mall manager for help and got on the news again, Dad would likely to disown me. Jeez. In the end, I decided to spend the night at the mall and sleep at the mattress store. The next morning, when the mall opened, I said goodbye to Anatole and left. When I checked my phone, I saw tons of missed calls from my mom, while my dad only sent one message.
Go home now. You're late. Don't let reporters see you.
Great. I had gone missing and he only cared about his own image. That's it. I won't go home again. I decided to spend the night at the mall again. When I came back to the supermarket at night, I saw something extremely odd. The supermarket lights were still on. As I moved closer, I saw Anatole drying his hair while wearing only pants. We shouted in disbelief.
Why are you still here?
I don't want to go back, okay? I feel suffocated in my own family.
I wish I could be like you. I don't have parents.
Anatole told me that every day he had to wake up very early to make a living. While working at the supermarket, he realized that he could just stay there to save more money.
But anyway, I think you should go home.
Nah, my dad won't care even if I disappear for a few days.
I see. Well, at least it's safe here.
That evening, Anatole taught me to skateboard along the stalls. It was so fun. But I accidentally bumped into a dishwashing liquid rack and spilled them on the floor. Thankfully, they were just for display. After that, we passed the children's toy counter and playfully put on costumes and danced around the supermarket. After being exhausted, we laid down breathlessly on the floor. Suddenly, there was a strange noise. What's that sound? Fast as lightning, Anatole covered my mouth and signaled me to be quiet. Two strange men had entered the supermarket. Were they thieves? We held our breath and laid down as we listened to the conversation.
Get into position. Tomorrow, the parade will pass by this mall. We'll set off some explosions to cause panic, then start our plan.
Tomorrow? It's Independence Day. They want to create a riot? I quickly dialed 911, but as we looked up, those two men who dressed in pitch black were pointing their guns at us. I panicked and threw my phone under the shelf.
What have you heard?
While I was trembling, Anatole very calmly said,
Caught you. We've been following you for a long time. Are you sure you can fight these many guys?
Anatole jerked his chin forward and the terrorist hesitantly looked back. At that moment, he grabbed my arm and pulled me onto the skateboard and ran. Knowing they were full, the terrorists quickly chased after us. Anatole dragged me through the shelf of dishwashing liquid that had spilled earlier, and when the two men came there, they slipped and fell so hard that their guns were thrown away. I reached into my pocket and pointed a toy gun at them. Don't move or I'll shoot! They couldn't tell the gun was fake and obediently stood still as Anatole rushed over to get the 2 real guns lying on the floor. Surprisingly, at that moment, the police arrived. It turned out, when I dropped my phone, I accidentally hit the call button. The police had heard the terrorist conversation and immediately came to our location. And more shockingly, my dad showed up with them as well. When I was bewildered, a terrorist quickly grabbed my gun and hugged me threateningly.
Get out of the way before I shoot her!
I was about to tell the police that it was just a toy gun when my dad coldly said,
She's no one important. You've taken the wrong hostage.
I broke down in tears, but he spoke again.
I'm sure you know me. It'd be more useful to take me instead.
Then my dad stepped closer to them. The terrorists shoved me away and grabbed my dad, but I tightly hugged them.
Get away, idiot!
Immediately, I turned around and yelled, "That gun is fake!" All the police rushed in and took the man down. Thanks to that, they had stopped an evil plan to sabotage the Independence Day parade. My dad decided to report what had happened to only a few senior officials. I was surprised. But instead, he stayed silent to keep me safe. After that, somehow, Dad has become softer and more understanding towards me. As for Anatole, he was offered an intern position at the police station for his bravery and quick thinking that night.